Hey everybody! Sorry for the radio silence lately. I have been flat out busy. At first I was doing a lot of on-set editing, doing crazy amount of hours per day, and then we were rushing to get the assembly together, and it's just been really crazy. But now I have, the first God-given day off I've had in I don't remember how long, and to make it even better, all my family are at the house, so I'm going to spend the entire day making Avid Assistant videos, because, that's the kind of thing I do. And since you lovely Patreon supporters are paying for this content, you guys take priority. So first video up is I wanted to do a little, how I would do it in terms of bringing gear to the job. 9 times out of 10 we work in facilities, we're already provided with an edit suite. Not always, but a lot of the time, if you're in long form, particularly in long form scripted. So I just wanted to run through the stuff that I still bring into the suite, from home, even when I'm going in. And if I'm traveling, like this job where I've come out to New Zealand for it, what I'll bring for that. Spoiler alert, that's pretty much everything. So let's get the ball rolling. So first off, the obvious is a laptop. You'll be familiar with this one. Did a review on it. I'm not going to talk much about it, but I need my computer. Even if I'm going into an edit suite and I'm going to be cutting there and I'm not using my own Avid, it's still really essential for me to have this. It's got all my email set up the way I like it. I'll even use it to trial and look for sound effects sometimes, just because particularly if I'm on a Windows machine in the edit suite. It's just a bit easier to do, I find, on a Mac using Preview with the spacebar. So yeah, no matter what job I'm going into, laptop's always coming with me. Next up is headphones. Now, what headphones are the best to use for editors is a hot topic of debate on the Avid forums and pages and stuff. If you're someone who's going to be doing online, or if you're going to be doing mixing, or if you're just a bit of an audiophile and you're wanting really nice, clean, clear representation of the actual sound, these might not necessarily be the best. They're by no means the worst, but they might not give an exact EQ, perfect reading. Ever so slightly favor the bass. But what I'll tell you they are very good for is traveling, because they come in this nice little carry case. They are extremely comfortable. They are wireless, so don't need to worry about all the evil companies removing headphone jacks from our mobile phones. And they have excellent noise cancellation, so really great when playing. But I have brought this up in the first portion of stuff I would even bring in if I was working in a suite locally, and that's because sometimes you just don't know, especially if you're going into this suite for the first time, you haven't worked there before, you don't know how quiet it is or how loud it is, and sometimes I can struggle to focus if there's noise distractions. So good set of headphones will make a big difference. Next up is the Stream Deck. So I've had a whole how I would do a video on this. Not going to go into it too much, but the reason why this is kind of an essential one for me to bring into the suite, providing they'll actually let me install the software on the Avid machine, but they're generally fine with it for this because it doesn't have to connect to the internet, so there's no breach of a firewall or anything like that. But yeah, this is really essential for me because on my Mac I really like to use macros. I can use Keyboard Maestro to make a lot of my scripts, and as times went on, those Keyboard Maestro scripts have become more and more complex and detailed, and they save me a lot of time and do a lot for me. But if I go into a facility and they're using Windows, for example, then there's no direct comparison or equivalent to Keyboard Maestro. Keyboard Maestro allows you to do everything that you can do in like AppleScript and AutoHotkey and things like that, but with a GUI rather than using code. And as much as I can use AutoHotkey, and I have made scripts in it before, it's more code based and it's a bit complicated. Whereas if you bring in the Stream Deck, I can make macros and scripts directly on this and make my own buttons, and I've got pages and pages of layouts now at this point specifically just for Avid use. Some of them are scripts, some are launching specific Avid functions. I rely on this more than my keyboard these days. So it's really useful piece of kit and saves me a crap ton of time. Next up is my mouse. So I went through a few different mice, tried a few in my time. I think it's just I like to have my own, is more important than having the best one. My favorite one that I ever had was called the Logitech MX Vertical. because I really liked the sort of vertical feeling in my hand. It was very comfortable, but it broke. And I could never figure out why it broke. It just stopped working one day, and so then I was hesitant to get another one in case it just, broke again. And you can get these cases for mice, keyboards, and various other tech bits and pieces on Amazon, pretty cheap. So this will come in with me into every job. This one's a bit more tricky for them to let me to install the software on the machine. It is Logitech again, but that software has to phone home when you install it, so it has to connect to the internet. And if you're in places like, say, the BBC, they have quite intense firewalls, and a lot of the time their IT guys won't sign off on you installing anything that has to connect to the internet. Technically speaking, the app shouldn't have to connect to the internet, it just has to talk to the mouse, but hey ho. So, I like to have my own mouse. God forbid you go into a facility and they've got one of those Apple Magic Mice. I think if I had to edit with one of those, I'd blow my brains out. But obviously, next up after that, my keyboard. You'll have seen this as well in the video where I showed off my suite. Logitech MX Master. I like the small slimline keys, but it's a gross improvement over the Apple one. Everything's remapped at this point, so I don't really care too much about having an Avid keyboard or an Edit keyboard, since all my keys will be custom and remapped. So having the symbols on the keys won't mean anything to me. This one's a nice one. It's metal. It's a bit more sturdy. Does the job pretty well, pretty comfortable. But it's not just about the specific keyboard that you have and how great it is, it's what you're used to. And if you have a specific way of typing, or if you've just been using the same keyboard for a long time, it's nice to just have that continuity, going back and forth between the office and home. And also just for hygiene reasons as well, because back in 2013, I was working as an in-house assistant at a post facility, and when an editor would leave when they'd finish a project, we'd be going in and be cleaning out the room and stuff, and not everyone is particularly, not just tidy, but not everyone's clean. Some of the stuff that our keyboards went through was nasty. So that was an eye-opening experience, and every job I've went to since, I've brought my own. So that one's coming with me, even if I'm going into a suite and I'm not traveling. Is starting to build up here. That's okay. I've got a really nice backpack that I like to bring on jobs. What else have we got? Okay, yeah. My personal hard drive. This is Tano. All of my drives are named after Star Wars characters, which is because A, I love the world of Star Wars, and B, it makes it nice and easy to have all of my different drives have unique names, since there's a lot of characters in Star Wars. So this is Tano. It has all my resources on it, my sound effects library, my temp music, various other things I've accumulated over the years. So I like to bring that into jobs, and I can throw that into the Avid and import stuff and use it as I need it. So that can add it to the pile. Next up is my power bank and phone cable, just to charge with. This is because I sort of like to have my phone handy, like on the desk right next to me. Sometimes I'll need the authenticator on it to log into things that I'm using for work. And just we always need to be reached in our line of work, and well, everybody's line of work these days. So I don't want it, across the room plugged into a wall, and a lot of the time we're not allowed to plug it into the machines for security reasons. So nice juicy power bank that can charge it multiple times, and a cable if we ever run out of juice. And that about covers us for the essentials that I'd have to bring in, even if I was going into a local suite. I suppose the only other thing to add would be my notebook. I like these big folio ones, where you can slot on your business cards, and you've just got like a kind of hard back to lean on if you don't have a lot of table space, and you can sort of cover it, which I like. I don't know. It's also nice as well because it's sort of refillable and you don't have to keep buying new notebooks. So I've got to bring pen and paper in there as well. It's nice for quickly jotting down ideas. So this is pretty much everything that I would bring in if I'm just going into the suite, which is why I need my big backpack, even if I'm just going to work down the road. But now that I've done this job where I'm traveling and I'm coming over to New Zealand, I've brought a few more things. So let's take a look at what else we got here. I brought my Thunderbolt dock to expand my machine. This is because I knew it'd be on set, I'd be receiving cards, I'd be doing backups to other drives. Because their budget was a bit stretched on this one, I sort of also did DIT while doing on-set editing. And so I was going to have multiple drives connected to my machine, and with it being a modern MacBook Pro, you don't have a whole lot of ports, but with the Thunderbolt 3 dock, that took care of that. So, brought my dock. I'll just show one of these since that sort of shows the idea. PowerPoint adapter. This one's really good because it's sort of anything to anything, any part of the world to any other part of the world. This has firmly convinced me that, Britain gets a lot of things wrong, like kind of a lot of stuff. The UK as a whole is pretty messed up, but one thing that they did very, very well was power plugs. No offense to the rest of the world, but the British plug, I'm pretty sure, is the best. It's really sturdy, it's locked in, it doesn't come out easy. The US one's actually a wee bit flimsy. So that's useful for plugging in my stuff. I've brought about 3 or 4 of these with me, as well as a British power strip that I don't have with me right now, since it's my day off from the suite, and I brought home the majority of my stuff from where I'm editing, which is the other side of the city. But I didn't think to bring home the power strip, but it's an 8-way Belkin one. So I'll have a picture up so you can take a look at which one I've got if you're interested. But I did bring my own power strip as well, just so that it was a decent one. Oh, this is an interesting one. I've got this puppy. Now, you look at this little folio thing and you see a screen behind it. You could be forgiven for thinking this is a tablet, but it's not. It's actually a second monitor. It's called an LG Gram, and there's a few different manufacturers that make these. This one is my favorite because it's got this nice folio cover, sort of similar to old school iPad covers, that folds into a stand, and then you have a second monitor. And it doesn't even require power. All it needs is USB-C connection, which we have in the MacBook, and it's 2.5K. 16 inches, so the same amount of screen real estate is on the MacBook Pro, just a little wider, and pretty good pixel density. So I've got a nice, monitor to have, a second monitor to work, even when I'm on set or even when I'm traveling. And I can't bring my giant ultra wide that I use at home with me whenever I go, because that thing is freaking huge. Whereas this is super light. Great color accuracy, and slots right into my laptop bag next to the MacBook. So it's become quite an invaluable little tool for me for jobs like this where I need to travel. Doesn't really count as editing equipment, but sunglasses, because it's New Zealand and the sun is horrible and super harsh and mean, and I don't like it. Big old bag of cables. This is nothing fancy. I've just grabbed a sandwich bag. But, yeah, big old bag of cables. I've got my RAID array with me. The only way to pack this is to bring it in its own original box. But this thing is really, really heavy. So this is probably the single thing that necessitated me having to have a second suitcase. I had to pay extra to have 2 cases. And when you're flying, literally opposite ends of the world, it can get a bit pricey. But I needed it. I was going to be working on set, and I was going to be moving around, and part of the deal is that I was providing the kit. I didn't have to do that. They had a post facility standing by, but it helped to bump my fee up a little bit. It's something that I always like to do. And over here in New Zealand, the Kiwis are quite flexible. As long as you can assure them that you're trustworthy and security, that they'll let you bring your own Avid to even big productions, and then you can have things set up exactly how you like them, and you can be your own tech support, and it's nice. I prefer it. So yeah, brought my RAIDs and weighed down my case significantly. So we're starting to get a bit of a pile going on here. What else we got? We got some stand for the Stream Deck. That's kind of awkward to pack. A couple of bags, you know, to pack the laptop and stuff. Screwdriver. No judgments, but I did buy the LTT screwdriver. If you're not familiar, YouTube channel, very, very big one, and they have some cool merch. I bought their mouse pad too, that was quite nice. But the reason why I brought my own screwdriver, I probably didn't need to, I could have got one here, is just in the off chance, it's never happened, but in the off chance that a drive fails in my RAID and I have to get back up and running right away, I would just need a screwdriver to be able to unscrew the drive from the tray once I slide it out. And yeah, I brought my own because I really like this one. So I can add that to the pile right there. And lastly, we have this little lapel mic that I'll be using later today to record the rest of the videos, the more Avid Assistant-y screenshot type stuff. And I mean, that's mostly for Avid Assistant stuff as opposed to normal work, but I felt like I'd include it. And yeah, that pretty much covers us. Obviously, all the usual travel stuff as well. A few clothes, a pair of shoes, passport, you know, all that jazz. So yeah, hope this was interesting or illuminating, and it's not just me talking to the phone. And as well, I think if I had to, you know, come away with some kind of point here, is just that I would say we spend a lot of time in our edit suites. So no matter how far you're traveling for your edit, whether it's, you know, 10 minutes down the road, you're traveling an hour into the city, or you're flying to the other side of the world, I personally would recommend that you have yourself be comfortable, like bring your creature comforts, you know. If I'm working in the same country and I'm traveling to the city, I like to bring in a plant as well, you know. You're going to spend a lot of time there, you know, edits can take anywhere from couple of months to, you know, 10 months or longer. It depends on the project. So yeah, you definitely shouldn't be afraid to customize your edit suite and have it set up exactly the way you want it and the way you like it, and, you know, the way that suits you best for your work. Because yeah, clearly I'm definitely not. But as I said, guys, this is my only day off for a while, so I've got a bunch more videos to record. You know, maybe another one for Patreon. I want to get done, you know, at least a few, maybe at least 3 or 4 for the YouTube channel, and you know, plan out a few ideas for what's to come, because, you know, it's bugged me a bit that I haven't really had time in a long time to dig into any of this sort of Avid Assistant stuff, and it's fell away a bit. So, you know, I'm going to make use of the time and get back right in it today. So away we go. Thanks for watching.